A very good afternoon to us and a happy Women's History Month to all our amazing young ladies and women. This afternoon's special session is to celebrate one of the top women's colleges in the US and appreciate a Ghanaian alum from this prestigious institution. Our focus today is to learn as much as possible about Spelman College, the application process, the many scholarship opportunities available, and the benefits enjoyed by women who attend Spelman College. We are privileged to host a Spelman College admissions counselor, Michael, who plays an essential role in the admissions process, and to learn about Nanefua Banful's Spelman College experience. EducationUSA Ghana is always happy to facilitate such wonderful programs. My name is Marilyn Owusu. I'm an educational advisor at EducationUSA Kumasi. My colleague, Bernice Afote, is from EducationUSA Accra, and she's also here with us. During the course of the program, I'll provide more information about EducationUSA Accra, EducationUSA Kumasi, and our range of services. Sit tight and enjoy this session. I'll hand over to Michael to introduce herself and provide us with an immersive presentation of Spelman.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for that warm welcome. Like Marilyn said, my name is Miss Mikael Ariseed. I serve as one of the admissions counselors at Spelman College. I specifically work with international populations, so that means I am your go-to person if you have any questions throughout the application process about Spelman and anything related to applying to the US. I will be your go-to person. Now, I do have a presentation lined up, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that you can all see. So without further ado, a little bit about Spelman and who we are as an institution. So we are a private liberal arts, all women's college, as well as a historically Black college. So what does that mean for us? So we are a private school. That means that tuition is a little bit more expensive, which I'll share about how to afford your education and fund your education as an international student. We're also a liberal arts school. What is a liberal arts school? This really means that we want our students to have a holistic approach to their education. That means that we encourage free thinking. We want them to connect different pieces of their interests so that they really end at the end of their 4 years as a well-rounded student. They have been exposed to a lot of different fields and really just figure out what it is that they're passionate about and how to get to where they want to go career-wise. We're also an all-women's school. So what does that mean? So you do have to identify and have lived as a woman to qualify for admissions at Spelman. In addition to that, we promise that the pedagogy is centered around the population that we serve, which are Black women. So regardless of the field that you will be studying at Spelman, there will be that focus and that lens of a womanistic perspective, and not just in your faculty, in your academic experience, but your whole experience as well. And our lovely alumna, Nana, will share a lot more about what that actually meant for her as a student at Spelman. And then lastly, we are a historically Black college. We have been ranked the #1 HBCU for now 15 years consecutively. So this is something that we are proud of as an institution, but it also tells you a little bit about our character and who we are. So we definitely do want to continue to better ourselves to keep this ranking. So this is not just a ranking that we've had, but oops, sorry, my screen changed, but we really work. So how many of our students, this is based off of different factors, but how many of our students come back after their sophomore year or after their freshman year? How many of our students graduate? What are they doing once they graduate? Have they found jobs? And all of those different things, that's what really comes into that decision to make us and give us that #1 ranking in the HBCU world. Now, a little bit more statistically on Spelman College as an institution. We are located in Atlanta, Georgia. So Atlanta, Georgia is a big metropolitan city. There are a lot of opportunities in Atlanta, so it's great for our students to be able to study here. There are about 16 headquarters of Fortune 500 companies. So you're thinking Delta, Delta, Coca-Cola, CNN, they all have their headquarters in Atlanta. So that's a lot of opportunities for internships and jobs for our students. About 60% of our students actually stay in the Atlanta area once they've graduated because they found a job in this new place that they've made home. Another community that we are part of is the Atlanta University Consortium, which we all refer to as the AUC. So the AUC is the largest and oldest consortium of historically Black colleges and universities in the US. In the AUC, the undergraduate schools that make up that institution are Spelman College and all women's HBCU. We have Morehouse College, which is an all men's HBCU, and then Clark Atlanta University, which is a co-ed HBCU. So together, while we do have a small school, we are an all women's school, you'll definitely have a co-ed experience should you come to Spelman, because our students really do interact with one another. You're able to cross-register, take classes on these different campuses. So while you are a small school, you'll see that our population is about 2,200 students, which if you know anything about colleges, this is very small. But because you're surrounded by your peers in the AUC, you're actually around 10,000 about 10,000 undergraduate students. But being a small school, we're still able to keep our classroom size really small. So on your screen, you'll see that our average classroom size is about 23 students with a student faculty ratio of 10:1. So this really creates an environment that our students are able to get to know their professors and develop that relationship in an intimate setting, dive deep into those conversations in their respective classes, feel heard, all things that are important for students' educational opportunities to be successful while at Spelman, but also once they graduate. Currently, our president is Dr. Mary Schmidt-Campbell. She will be retiring at this end of the academic year. So we are in an interesting spot. We're looking forward to the new president to see what their focus will be on. So a lot is happening, and we're excited on campus to welcome our new president, whoever they may be. Now going into a little bit more about academic programs and offerings at Spelman. We have over 34 different majors and minors that are available at Spelman, ranging from the humanities to the STEM fields to the arts, a lot of opportunities. And again, because we're part of that AUC, if there's a specific major that we don't offer at Spelman, that doesn't mean it's impossible. For example, we don't offer a business management major at Spelman, but our students who are interested in business will major in economics at Spelman and then take a lot of their business courses and electives on Morehouse campus, which has an amazing business program. So again, being part of that AUC and the relationship that we have with the different institutions is really interesting and beneficial for our student populations. Our top majors are biology, economics, English, psychology, and political science. But again, our students, there are a lot of different opportunities. We do have a handful of pre-professional programs, so pre-med, pre-nursing, pre-law. Those are all possible at Spelman. Now, I do want to just take your attention onto some special programs that we have that are a little bit more niche and available to our Spelman students. So if you're interested in doing engineering, for example, if you do come to the US and if you do come to Spelman, we do have a 3-2 program. Now, what does that mean? That means that you get 2 degrees in 5 years. So you come to Spelman, you would have been majoring in physics, mathematics, or something along those lines. And then we have partnerships with different institutions, about 15 of them for our engineering program, where then you, in 3 years, you would graduate with your bachelor's of science in physics or in mathematics. And then our faculty will help you get into an engineering program that we have established established relationships with. So it's not a guaranteed admissions, but definitely a pipeline program that helps our students be successful if they want to get an engineering degree. And should they be accepted into one of those programs, then they would go on there for 2 years and earning their engineering degree. So in 5 years, you get 2 degrees. We have a similar program for law for any students interested in pursuing law. So that's our 3+3 program, where you do 3 years at Spelman College, and then you go on and do 3 years at either Drexel Law or Syracuse Law to earn your Juris Doctorate, which is the degree that you get out of law school. So a lot of opportunities for academic students. We also have a similar program for medical schools. But if you have any questions about that, I can go on and on about academic programs. Feel free to ask me towards the end of the presentation or once we open it up to Q&As. Now, a little bit about the support services that we have at Spelman. So we do want to make sure that our students feel supported, that they have access to the resources that they need to be successful and to be the amazing alumni that they are once they graduate. And you'll get to hear again from Nana about the amazing things she's done after Spelman. But while on campus, there are a lot of opportunities for our students. So when you're thinking about your career, our Career Planning and Development Office does an amazing job to working one-on-one with our students to helping them be competitive applicants. So they do career career fairs or internship fairs. So they're inviting recruiters onto Spelman's campus to recruit our current students, either for an internship or summer opportunity, or for once they graduate. They also will work with you if you're considering graduate school. So what does your application process look like? They'll do mock interviews, a lot of opportunities, and it's really up to the student to decide what it is that they want out of it. And our Career Planning and Development Office will work with you to get there. Some other services are our Student Success Center. So while you're actually on Spelman, if you're struggling with a class or a specific context, they offer peer tutoring services to make sure that you're acing your classes, that you're doing, that you have access to all the resources that you may need to be successful. We also have a disability services. So this is for any of the students who need a little bit more tools. So if you need a little bit more time on to take a test, if you have technology accommodations that you require, whatever it is, they will work one-on-one with you to make sure that you have access to all of the resources, again, that you need to be successful. We also have our Health Careers and Health Services Office. So especially for you all international students, we want to make sure that you're healthy both physically and mentally. So we do prioritize mental health. You'll have access to counseling service, to professional therapists to work through whatever it is that you need to work through, have those conversations, but also your physical health. So if you are feeling sick and you need to go see a doctor, we have that right on campus for you all. And then of course, for our international students specifically, we have our international student services that will work with you in whatever capacity it is that you need, most notably issuing your I-20s and working through the very complex visa process and legal statuses and whatever it is that you need. They'll also put on events for you to get to know each other as international students and making sure that you have a community within the Spelman community that does have a big sisterhood, but we all know that being an international student has its own sets of I don't want to say burdens, but unique experiences. So we want to make sure that you feel supported and that you have somewhere to go to specifically that knows what it is that you need as an international student. And then just a little bit about academics as well. We also understand that the learning doesn't stop within the classroom. So we encourage our students to really get out of the classroom and get that real world experience. So that's tangible experience. One of the biggest ways that happens is studying abroad and studying domestically. So I know as an international student, it may not be the first thing on your mind that you want to leave the US and visit another country, but that definitely is. I was an international student. I studied abroad myself when I was in college. So definitely encouraging that. Now, these are pre-COVID statistics, but about 70% of our Spelman students, once they've graduated, would have studied abroad at least once. So that's huge. Usually, typically other institutions will be about 30 to 40%. So we're really promoting that study abroad experience to really get that real world experience. Now that could be for academic purposes, that could be for research, for service opportunities. These could be for 2 weeks, it could be for a summer, it could be for a semester, it could be for a year. It's really up to you as a student to decide what it is that you're looking to get out of this experience, and our study abroad office will work with you to get there. So if you have a country that you know you've always wanted to go to, they will help you find that program that meets your needs. Our students have visited over 40 different countries, so from Europe to Asia, to the African continent, to the Caribbean, Latin America. Really, the options are limitless, and it's really up to you to decide what it is that you want to get out of this experience. And then, of course, we also have opportunities within the United States. So if you do want to visit a new city, a new state, we have those exchange partnerships as well for you to stay still locally, but leaving Spelman and leaving Atlanta specifically to get, again, that real world experience that you may not get inside the classroom. And then lastly, before I transition into the admissions portion of this section, a little bit about student life and engagement. So there's a lot to do on our campus. A lot of the learning really does not happen in the classroom. It's how you are involved and what you partake and you spend your time on. We have over 85 different clubs and organizations on Spelman's campus alone. But again, because we're part of that AUC, if there's a club within the 85 that you're not interested in, that's not something that you find amusing, look onto Morehouse campus, look onto Clark Atlanta's campus as well, and you can join those clubs and organizations because of that relationship that we have with those two institutions. We're also a residential hall, so we're home to 11 residence halls, 4 of which are for first years only. So really a lot of that sisterhood and that bonding starts in those residence halls, getting to know your roommate, who you're living with, and those connections that will be lifelong, that sisterhood aspect. That's where it all starts in your first year hall. I'm sure Nana will share with you what her first year hall is. The alumni literally rep their first year hall until the day they die. So it is amazing to see that kind of sisterhood and bonding really starts in there. And then there's, of course, a lot of AUC events and traditions. And I won't bore you with all of that, but there's a lot of tradition things things to do outside of the classroom for you to really immerse yourself within Spelman, within the sisterhood, and within the AUC and the Atlanta area as a whole. Now kind of transitioning into admissions portion. So who do we consider an international student? So there are a couple of criteria that go into that. So first, it is any non-US citizen and or non-US permanent resident. So if you hold any other passport or citizenship, we at Spelman will consider you as an international applicant. And also if you attend any school that is based abroad. So even if you are a US citizen, living and going to school in Ghana, you would still be considered an international applicant. And being an international applicant has its own set of requirements that I'll go into in just a second. But generally speaking, when we're looking at an application, what is it that we are looking for as admissions counselors when reviewing that? So Spelman is quite competitive and a selective university. Our faculty will challenge you as students. So what does that mean is that when we're looking for applicants and for prospective students, we want to see that you have been able to have a strong academic curriculum, that you have challenged yourself as a student so that once you were to transition into Spelman, you won't be struggling, that you'll be able to match the rigor that our professors will demand of you across the board, whichever discipline that it is. So what does that mean? So that means that we're looking for students who have taken advantage of what has been made available to them. So if you're attending a school where there is an IB curriculum, we want to see that you took advantage of the IB curriculum. Now, this is different for international students because if you do attend a local school, you may not have access to an IB, and we understand that. As an admissions counselor, we're definitely analyzing you within your high school context. So we want to see that curriculum that you did well, that you took advantage if those opportunities were made available to you. But we also want to see students who have demonstrated leadership involvement. So students who have been involved in their community. So if you're doing any extracurricular activities, if you have a part-time job, any internships, if you're volunteering, spending your time, those are all things that we want to see in you as a high school student, because once you come to Spelman, we want you to make a difference on our campus. So we want to see indications of that on your application. And then lastly, we also ask for strong ability to convey thought and idea. So through your Common App, you will have an essay that you submit. So we want to see that essay, that you're able to express yourself in a clear and concise manner. So this is our only writing sample that we get from you. And in everything that you do in terms of your application, this will be extremely important if you're looking for those to be a competitive applicant in our merit-based scholarships. But into what it is that consists of a complete application. We are exclusively on the Common Application. So commonapp.org is the only way you can apply to Spelman College. Of your application, we ask that you have 2 letters of recommendation, your official high school transcripts that are in English. So as an international student, if you don't attend a school where the curriculum is taught in English, we will need a translation of that. We also have an application fee or an approved fee waiver. So looking at NACAC and looking at College Board, you can apply for fee waivers there. We don't give out any application waiver, but we do accept them. And then we have 3 rounds of deadlines that you may partake in at Spelman. So we have our early decision, which has a decision of November 1st. The deadline is November 1st, early action for November 15th, and then regular decision for February 1st. No application round is better than the other. When will you be your most competitive and best applicant? That is when you should be applying to Spelman College under whichever application deadline it is that you are ready for. And then as an international student, so these are on top of everything else, this is what we require of you as an international student. So if you're not coming from an English speaking country, so we will need your official TOEFL score. But for you all in Ghana, we know that English is one of the official languages, so you will not need to submit TOEFL scores. But we will need an affidavit of financial support in US dollars. So this is just a letter or a form submitted by your parent or guardian's employer stating their annual income. We'll need a copy of your passport with your visa and I-94 card. And we understand that at the time that you're applying, you may not have that, but definitely having a copy of your passport will be important for your application to be considered complete. And then once you graduate, we'll need a school leaving certificate. So that is the equivalent of a diploma for you all in Ghana. We'll just need a copy of that. And then quickly, I know we're running out of time and I want to give you all the chance to ask questions, but tuition and scholarship. So I did say we are a private school, so we are a little bit more expensive. So on your screen, you can see that our tuition currently is at $43,000, $244. So a little bit more expensive than we would like, but we do have a lot of scholarship opportunities for our, I wouldn't say a lot, but we do have some scholarship opportunities. The Gordon Zito is exclusively for international students. So this, you're only competing with other international students, and Ghana is actually our biggest international applicants and enrolled students. So shout out to you all in Ghana. But the Gordon Zito is a full ride scholarship that is only for international students. We also have some other merit-based scholarships, but generally speaking, these will range from a full ride all the way down to $5,000 increments. And there is no additional application for you all to be considered for these merit-based scholarships. So your application, your essay, your grades, your extracurricular activities, those are what we're looking for when we're making scholarship recommendations and decisions. So you want to put your best foot forward on that common application. Tell us everything. This is the time to brag about yourself. I'm going to repeat that. This is the time to brag. Tell us every single thing that you have done, because the more information you have, the better we can make a decision. So if you want to be a competitive applicant for those scholarships, tell us. Did you babysit a little sibling, a little cousin? Did you have a part-time job? Did you have internships? All of that are things that we're looking for. So let us know. And then if there's any additional information, you have an additional information section on the Common App. Tell us. If there was a dip in your grades, if you lost a family member, if you went through anything, just tell us. It's better for us to have that information than for me to try to imagine, oh, what happened in so-and-so's life? I don't want to have to fill in the blanks. Tell me everything. And that way you'll be able to put your best foot forward on your application and be a competitive applicant for our merit-based scholarships. And then lastly, just some additional events that you can attend to from the Office of Admissions to learn more about us. This was a virtual information session, so you don't need to do that, but we do offer them on a weekly basis on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to watch it again, or if you want to connect with us, that's a great way to do it. We have some open houses coming in the fall. So if you want to hear more about our faculty and staff members, we have transfer sessions, we have admitted student events, a lot of different opportunities for you to engage with us. And then this is my information. Please take a picture of this. I am your admissions counselor. My name is Miss Mikaela Aristide. If you have any questions, please, please, please email me. You are never bothering me. There is no such thing as a dumb question. Ask me, call me. Please reach out to us. Engage with us on social media. The more we get to know you as an applicant, the better your chances are and the easier it is for you to go and navigate this very complex process. I know it is a lot, but reach out to us, engage with us on social media. Our Office of Admissions is on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. So you get to see more about our counseling staff, different opportunities that are made available to you by Spelman. But yeah, take a picture of this. Remember my name, that's my email. Reach out to me if you have any questions. And now I am done speaking and I would love to answer any questions. But before then, I will hand it back over to EducationUSA.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mikhail. And thanks for making Ghana feel proud that, hey, we are representing big time as Spelman in terms of applications. Number one, thank you so much. It's been a great presentation. I've learned a lot of things myself. And what I love about you being with us is that you actually read the application. So we are hearing from the horse's own mouth, and it's really great for our audience. Thank you so much. We have another session, and it's also going to be as awesome as what we heard Mikhail tell us. And that's because we have a Spelman grad with us. I want to take my time and read her profile because it's Women's History Month and we are celebrating women. So we have Nana Ifua Nyakobanfo with us this afternoon. In her most recent role, Nana was a principal financial analyst at Capital One Financial Corporation in McLean, Virginia. She liaised with technology experts and supply chain managers to build a multi-year expense forecast aligned with corporate targets. Prior to that, Nana spent the last 5 years in Ghana, working in operations for the asset manager of the group Indu. There, she developed analytics to inform investment decisions and drive capital planning strategy for the company's real estate portfolio, which was weighted in small, rapidly developing rural communities. Before she moved back to Ghana, Nana spent 6 years at payment services company, American Express, where she developed skills in regulatory credit stress testing, operational risk management, and financial planning and analysis for the company's membership rewards expense. Nana began her career in financial services as a credit analyst at JP Morgan Chase Bank in New York. There she underwrote multi-million-dollar credit exposures to high net worth borrowers at JP Morgan Private Bank and to low-income housing tax credit syndicators at JP Morgan Community Development Group. Nana earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in economics from Spelman in Atlanta, Georgia in 2001, and an MBA in finance and marketing from Kellogg School of Management in Evanston, Illinois. And she lives in Maryland with her daughter. Nana, I've said so many things about you.
Yes, you have. Thank you. That was a very kind introduction. Thank you.
I really had to get it out there because we are celebrating you.
Yes. Yeah.
And thanks for coming to join us this afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very honored that you asked.
Yes, and thanks for accepting. We have some questions.
Okay.
And questions because we want our Ghanaian audience to appreciate Spelman from a Ghanaian student's perspective. And from your achievements, we realize that Spelman did you good. But we really want to hear some more.
Okay.
So from your perspective, tell us a bit about Spelman College.
Spelman College, let's see. Mikhail, I think, did a very good job of giving you an insight into the college. For me personally, what it means was it was my home in my formative years when I left Ghana for the United States. Like, you know, she said it was small but big at the same time. So it was small when I was on campus. I felt very close to the women I was going to school with. And then once I ventured into things like, you know, the common library or into church services on Sunday or into club activities, etc., then it became big because I had other young students in other schools were very close by, you know, in my universe. I would say that the biggest thing, or, you know, now when I look back, I think that one of the greatest things I got from Spelman was the spirit of sisterhood, you know, in terms of the people who had gone before me and how much they reached out back to me to make sure that I would be the best version of Nana that I am. I can think of so many examples right now, but I know we are pressed for time. So two things that I did then that really impacted me, and this was even before the summer of my junior year, which is when, at least at my time, typically people would have their first formal internship. I was a sophomore, so that's 2 years, you know, so you have your freshman year and then your sophomore year. And I applied to something then called the Shanghazi mentoring program. So really it was a mentoring program established by this group of accomplished women called the Corporate Women's Roundtable. I applied and got in, and for my spring break, what I did was I was flown from Atlanta to Virginia, all expenses paid, and I shadowed a very senior executive woman for 1 week. So, you know, I lived with her. In that 1 week, we went on 2 plane trips to Boston, which was such a big deal to me at that time, to attend meetings, etc. And what it did for me was, you know, humanize her in terms of her work accomplishments, but also as a mother and as a wife, and just watching her balance the two, which I know most of you here, you know, the all elusive, you know, work-life balance, right? I kind of saw it firsthand because we would go to Boston and come home and watch her check her daughter's homework. And she would cook lunch, you know, or make some cooking so that her daughter would have something when we went the other time, you know. And then it just seemed like, you know, I don't know, regular random stuff. But as I've gotten more mature, I realized how much of an impact, you know, she had on me. And Mikhail has also touched about on how, you know, how well we do in terms of being employed after Spelman. And it's so funny, any company I go to, and before I became, I guess, the older alumni who did the outreach. Like, it always really fascinated me how they found me. Like, before you got there, you got an email from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sisters saying, hey, I'm your Spelman sister. I work in this group. Ask me whatever questions, you need to get asked. What are you wearing tomorrow? That kind of thing. Things that maybe now they seem so basic because we get so much information from the internet. Mind you, this was a little while back, so it wasn't necessarily information that was readily available. And I was very, very, very fortunate and honored and, grateful to have had that kind of network.
I really love your story, and you've made it very realistic for us, and you've helped us to appreciate Spelman in such a unique way. Wow, thank you. I have another program for you. Question, sorry.
Okay.
What made you actually enroll at Spelman?
Okay, so my story may be a little bit different from the typical applicant, and in that like you, I applied from Ghana to go to college in the United States. My first school was in Spelman College. I went to another school, and again, pre-internet, maybe your research is not as robust as it is these days. At that age, you do things just because your friend did it. It seemed like a good idea. So I applied, went through the whole everything Mikhail has touched on, from I-20 to interviews at US Embassy, got the visa, etc. Ended up at my first school. And then as the year wore on, I heard about Spelman through a family friend, and their daughter was enrolled at Spelman, and she was having a very, very positive experience. And so the more I learned about the culture, the more I fell in love with it, the more it sounded a lot like Wesley Girls High School, which is my alma mater in Ghana. And, the more I had to be a part of that environment. So, I went through the application process. Mikhail has touched on it, wrote an essay. I think my essay was about how much my mother had influenced me, now that I think about it, right? Wrote my essay, got my transcripts in, and, the second year I was there, and it more than delivered on anything I thought, I had heard. The Atlanta, big metropolitan city, I got to experience the arts and the culture of Atlanta. I got to meet many, many, many different people from across, the Spelman, across the Atlanta University Center system. I don't recall actually registering for a class, but then I had people from the other schools register for my class. So I built relationships, that way. And I used to be a member of the Catholic Center at the AUC. So I met a couple of people that way. Yeah, so I came, through word of mouth, through a family friend who just kind of knew who I was, knew the Spelman culture, and thought it would be a great fit. And I am forever thankful to them for leading me that way.
Wow, that's nice. Mm-hmm. Continue with our questioning. Mm-hmm. I know you did economics. Right. Were you tempted to change it along the line? Did you stick to it? Why did you stick to it?
That's an interesting question. I took economics because, let me back up a bit. So my high school was Wesley Girls High School. This is the old system. So I went through to Form 5. And then for sixth form, I did something called the International Baccalaureate at SOS AGIC. So that was my first formal introduction, if you will, to economics. And my love for that started then. I loved it then. It made sense to me, and I was good at it. So coming to Spelman, it was a natural extension of that. Having said that, maybe something that would resonate with this crowd, I found it very interesting, and Mikhail touched on it, with the liberal arts education. It wasn't, I had people in psychology who were psychology pre-med. I had people in economics who were economics pre-med. I have a cousin who went to another school, not Spelman. She was history pre-med, So I was intrigued because I don't know what it is these days, but coming up in Ghana, you almost had to declare your stance, if you will, at a very early age, right? So if you had dreams of being a doctor, you kind of chose that very early on and your horizon was limited to STEM, if you will, but it's liberal arts education, a Spelman's curriculum, I'm not sure, but whatever the case, you are able to do the history, the religion, philosophy, whatever other majors really pique your interest. And then we can add the science component to it, which is how you get the history, pre-med. But anyway, I stuck with economics because it seemed like a natural progression to finance and strategy and business in that kind of environment. And, Spelman had great professors in that. And even when I started, I saw very quickly, the gains in doing that, because like I said, I started my summer internships, but really the spring break of my sophomore year. And from there, as a junior, my summer I went to JP Morgan. I got invited again to go back for my senior year. And I ended up, being an employee there for 6 years. So between the faculty and between the culture, between the sisterhood of the people who went ahead of me already established, in my case on Wall Street, I just felt like I had lots of support and the tools to be successful in that space, so I kept with it.
Wow. I was going to talk about internships, but I feel excited knowing that through Spelman, you actually got to JP Morgan.
Oh, absolutely. And
you've done so well in life. Your accomplishments talks for itself. But I don't know if you have more to share about activities, about leadership, about conferences, anything that you benefited from when you were in Spelman.
Absolutely. So I probably still am, but I came up a little bit of an introvert. And so initially I wasn't very comfortable. I was coy about seeking out leadership opportunities. But there are so many and they run an entire spectrum that there's something for everybody, right? So if you are horrified by the thought of addressing, I don't know, a student body of 2,000, and so you don't want to be a member of the Student Government Association, I joined this volunteer group where we went to be mentees for third graders in our community, right? So there was this elementary school, and we were matched up with them to be mentors to 8 and 9-year-olds. And for me, it was so therapeutic to leave campus and go and spend time with their class and see the world through the lens of 8-year-olds and what their problems are, There was also, probably still on campus, there was a daycare center where I would volunteer my time because I enjoy working with, young children. When it came back on campus, I was a residential advisor, so I was an RA of my hall where, instead of the 2,000 people, which still mortifies me, I had, a much smaller group of people to bond with, know their problems, try to escalate as necessary, and try to, help them be the best version that they could be. I think I recall I was a member of the International Students Club, and once a year or so I seem to remember, because it involved food, I seem to remember we had some sort of like a celebration or a potluck where we had very many different kinds of cuisines, represented. And it was something that I know that the rest of the school really looked forward to because, who doesn't like good food? There is, I'm trying to imagine then versus now, there are probably an exponential number, of opportunities or activities to engage. And there's something for everybody. If you want the big crowd, there's something for you. If you want to make a difference in your own little corner, there are opportunities. And that even extends beyond Spelman's campus, right? So if you're not interested in anything that's on the campus, within the Atlanta University Center, there will be something for you.
Wow. I keep saying wow, and I'm sure people are asking, hasn't she got anything else to say? But you're bringing out such positivity. I'm sure people who are thinking about women's colleges are really thinking of Spelman at this point. Right. And I'm happy you're doing this for us, because seeing it through your eyes makes it realistic for us. All right, still talking about positive experiences. Are there any opportunities or particular positive experiences that have stuck with you up to this point?
Let's see. It may sound maybe trivial now, but when I was at Spelman, typically in the spring, so like in these first months of the year that we are, you would have the companies, corporations come to campus and make a presentation, kind of like what we are doing now. They would come and make a presentation about their company. And then if you're interested in having a summer internship or a full-time position, you apply with them, right? I cannot emphasize more how instrumental the Career Development Center was in getting me ready and getting me confident and giving me the tools to succeed, in this life that I chose, right? Because we all come here to get an education, but you're getting an education. The end goal is to eventually be employed so that you can make an honest living, right? So it is important to have the support and the tools to make the transition from student to employee. And Spelman went well above and beyond anything I ever dreamed of in terms of the opportunity, the access, and the support to make that transition, seamlessly. But there was this one event. So, so companies had different stints on how they presented themselves, right? One, they'll come the night before. Sometimes they take you out to dinner, so you just learn what it is to be at a business dinner, right? And in some cases, that was my first introduction to that kind of atmosphere. But I remember this one company, and probably should remain nameless, but they came over on campus, and what they did was they took us all out to lunch. And it wasn't just the luncheon and the food. They took us to a very fancy restaurant. And the idea was to teach us business etiquette, right? So, things that it probably you don't think about unless you're in that setting, but they felt it necessary to get us ready for the life ahead. And when I tell you that so many years later, I still look back on that luncheon and the tricks they taught us and how you figure out which one is your bread saucer and which one is your drink. Again, sounds trivial now if Google is your friend, because you Google it and you see that kind of things. When I was coming up, that information was not as easily as accessible to me. But I think that's one of those things that really stood out to me so many years later.
Such great opportunities. Hey, Spelman all the way.
Spelman all the way, yes.
I'm still talking about this. Is there anything you wish you knew before applying to Spelman?
Let's see. It's just personally, being more on the reserved, introverted side. I think I took advantage of most of the opportunities, but I wish I had done more. I just came. I don't know if it's because of how I was socialized, but I had a little bit of a narrow focus on, get the A's or get the high GPAs, and kind of it will take you through life. And I wish I had spent a little bit more of my time, investing in the other things, right? I had some leadership opportunities. I probably could have done more. I probably could have spent a little bit more time exercising, those things that if you have, as a young person, it sort of makes you more well-rounded as an adult, if you will. Because I'm thinking if then I had made it a point, to get, I don't know, a couple of minutes exercise every day or something like that, I would have built the habit, and it wouldn't have been such a chore for me to do that now in my adult life. But there is, I can imagine now that there are so much more opportunities. Yes, get your grades, that's why you're there, but make an equal investment in becoming, an all-round person.
That's good to know. Did you face any challenges And if you did, how did you overcome them?
Amen. The challenge I face would be laughable now because it had to do with being homesick. And remember, this was pre-Skype, pre-WhatsApp, pre-Facebook, I don't know what it is. I had a chuckle when Mikhail was going through TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat. I was like, yeah, right. This was pre all of that, right? So, so you get your pocket money, and then you figure out how much of it you are using to call Ghana then. And then you're like, okay, you know what? Maybe I can't call today. But those were some of the trade-offs I made then, which is really laughable right now because I look at my younger cousins who are in college these days and how they don't even have to lift a finger to stay engaged with, their friends and family, not just in Ghana, all the world over. And for me, how it was real. Maybe that's why I majored in economics. It was real economics, figuring out how much I was going to spend on phone calls to keep in touch with my parents and my sisters. But other than that, very, very, very supportive environment. Now that I think about it, there was a professor, remain nameless, and one day she just said to come see her after class. And when a professor, in Ghana, when your teacher says, come see you after class, I was like, what did I do? And then she comes, so I go in there, she's like, have a seat. And I sit there. And she's like, I read your essay. You're very smart. You're going to have to speak up more. And then so I go with, oh, but I'm shy. She's like, zip it. You're not shy. And even if you are shy, listen to this, you are going to fake it till you make it. So you're going to fake not being shy until people do not believe that you're shy, because it really doesn't get you anywhere if you don't speak up and express yourself and defend yourself. And that has stayed with me for the longest time. And there are some people I know professionally who would never believe that I'm actually introverted. So I guess
Wow. Yeah, muted, Nana. Okay, I'm happy you unmuted yourself.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that with us. Looking at everything now, how has your US education influenced your life?
Oh, wow. Let's see. Let's start from just globally, and then maybe I relate it to Ghana. So coming through Spelman, I think I touched on before the whole liberal arts aspect, right? That you don't hone on your area of expertise so early in life. You get to experience different things to become, sort of a well-rounded person. And then somewhere along my career, I had to spend time in London, UK. And so again, built connections. All this is all through, Spelman, built connections through Spelman Alumni Network to manage to really learn the culture and learn the country very well. And then that carried me through to business school, where my professional network kept expanding when we talk about globally, right? I think that I was concerned at the point of my career when I decided to come back to Ghana to work, because whilst I was born and raised in Ghana, I hadn't had a professional exposure in Ghana. And I was a bit concerned as to whether or not I'll be able to adapt, or, if there was any reverse culture shock in there for me. And I was quite, it's the same, skills you learned at Spelman, right? Build and leverage relationships. Nobody knows everything. Observe and learn. Speak up for yourself. What are some of the other things? Speak up for yourself. Don't burn your bridges. Form great networks and connections, and sort of carry it through with you in life. And that has served me very well. I'm not, again, now not a big deal. You're going to a new country, you just may Google your friend and find out everything you possibly can. But when I was doing it then, it wasn't necessarily information that was easily accessible, but just using these building blocks and writing to alumni. Oh, let me tell you something about the alumni. All you need to say, my name is so-and-so, and I am Spelman class of this and that, or I'm a sophomore, and then the floodgates will open. Not only will that person help you, next thing you know, 10 or 15 sisters that you've never met, are writing to you and asking you what you need and where you're staying, and that a very, very beautiful support system and sisterhood, which I think we all need to become the best versions of ourselves.
Hey, hey, hey. Mikhail has been smiling throughout. You have a proud ambassador of your school.
I don't even know why I presented. Now I should have just done it all for me.
Wow. Mikhail, your presentation was fabulous. Nana, you've done an excellent job telling us how we should see Spelman and what we can hope to experience if anybody should apply to Spelman. The good thing is we have some questions from people watching and some questions from different avenues. So I'll go straight into the questions and hopefully both of you can answer them for us. Mikhail, the first question I have for you is you mentioned HBCU. Some people are not familiar with HBCU. Kindly tell us what HBCU is and the role HBCU plays in the lives of young people applying to schools in the US.
Yes, so that's a heavy question. So I'll try to condense it and really just hit on the important part. So first, HBCUs, or historically Black colleges and universities, that's what it stands for. They have been around since the 1800s, and they really initially started when higher education, because of segregation, because of racism, Black people in the US could not go past high school, could not attend college, could not get those degrees. So Black people came together, they said, we want to create a space for us where we can get a degree. So that's where it really all stemmed from. Now, I think today HBCUs have grown and changed in what they do. But I think the most beautiful part, I did not go to an HBCU for undergraduate college. I think this, and Spelman specifically, but as a whole, it really creates a space where this is for you. This is a space where people want to see you succeed, and everybody who works, teaches, all of those different people and aspects come together because they want to see Black people succeed. Now, I think it's even more interesting in Spelman as an all-women's and in HBCU. These are two identities that are in the real world, or not the real world, in America specifically, we'll speak. The race is not something I didn't know that when I was, because I came from Haiti. So like Black people all around me, it was never a thing. But in the US, being Black is a very unique and different experiences. So HBCUs really give you that space to be yourself and to almost forget about what it's like to be Black. What does that mean? And focus on yourself as an individual. And then in an all women's college, now as a Black woman. So that's what HBCUs are. It's a space for students to really get to evolve and build that network. I think that's the biggest outcome of an HBCU, going to an HBCU, is that network and the alumni relation that Nana has talked about, and the sisterhood specifically at Spelman, what we refer to it. But that's really what it all comes together, is having a space for you as a Black woman where people want to see you succeed, will help you get to there, give you all of the tools and resources that you need to then be able to go out into the world and own your Blackness and your womanhood and be successful in whatever field. So JP Morgan, like Nana, every field, she knows how to command them and how to use her identities to be able to thrive in that world.
Thank you so much for that wonderful explanation. Even though Spelman is a women's college, someone is actually asking that, is it only for women?
Yes, unfortunately, you do have to identify as a woman to go to Spelman, but we do have Morehouse. If you are a man, Morehouse College is an HBCU and part of that AUC connection, so very similar values in terms of that. And then you can interact with Spelman if you do go to Morehouse College or Clark Atlanta if it is a co-ed institution where your gender identity does not matter.
Thank you. I'm happy you mentioned Clark Atlanta and Morehouse, because someone else asking that, hey, I've been to an all-girls school in high school, and I'm coming to Spelman because of all the good things I've heard. Do I just stay there and not mingle with men? But now that you've told us Morehouse is close by and Clark Atlanta is actually a mixed school, that's quite comforting for those who want to mingle. So you've answered that question for us. All right.
Morehouse is across the street from Spelman.
Yes.
Oh, so you can actually just walk to Morehouse.
Oh, absolutely.
And then I'll add this part too, about the AUC. So there's something that not sure if they did it at your for you, Nana, but the sibling crossing. So at orientation, when you come, you actually get paired with a Morehouse brother and a Clark sibling. So we really emphasize that community. You're not like, you go to Spelman, you are at Spelman, but you really already have a Morehouse, another first year who's at Morehouse that you get to know, and that's your Morehouse brother. And so you get to build that relationship, and then they're able to introduce you into more things that they're offered at Morehouse and at Clark. So it is an all women's school, but that co-ed experience, I'm on campus right now. I guarantee if I leave my office right now, I will see Morehouse men and Clark Atlanta men walking through campus. So definitely a co-ed experience.
That's extra comforting for those who really want to mingle. You get the best of a women's college, and you also get to mingle with men. That's really comforting. Right. I'll ask another question. You already mentioned it in your presentation, Mikhail, but someone is asking that, does the institution offer scholarships? If you could quickly just touch on a few things for us, I think it will be helpful.
Yes, so for the scholarships that come out of the Office of Admissions, we have merit-based scholarships. So those are purely on who you are and what you tell us in your application process. So your essay, the things that you're involved with in your high school and living community once you're in high school, as well as your grades, that's what we base on those. And at the time, so if you do get admitted, and if you were to get awarded a merit-based scholarship, you'll be notified and you'll be told that you have been selected by the admissions committee for whichever scholarship it is. Unfortunately at Spelman, because of the very unique population that we cater to, Black women, this is a group of individuals that unfortunately have been marginalized, and everybody needs money. Every applicant will always, I can't afford, I want to go here, and financial need is a very sad, but a reality. So in terms of scholarships, they're very competitive. You really have to be at the top of the top. So that being said, I don't want to discourage you, but as early as you know you want to pursue an education in the US, start looking for outside scholarships. Scholarships are not just coming from the Office of Admissions, from just anywhere. They're looking, like, it's free money. It is free money. Ask banks, natural hair care products. Your parents' employers might even have money to give out for scholarships. There are so many opportunities, and the earlier you start, the more time you have to gather all of those funds, and it'll go with you wherever it is that you're going. So I can't emphasize this enough, starting that. We have a list of resources on our website as well. I highly encourage you all to visit at spelman.edu. And then under scholarships, you'll see outside scholarship places that you can go to apply and continue to apply. Those are definitely ways for you to fund your Spelman education for sure.
That's really good to know. Someone is asking, do you have a particular profile of women you're looking for?
So every woman is different, but there are things that are common threads, and that looks a lot of different ways. So generally speaking, to give you numbers, because I know it's hard to we all say holistic approach, we're taking everything into account. But our last year, so our current freshmen that are on campus, those who were accepted had an average GPA on a 4.0 scale of a 3.85 weighted. We recalculated and they had about a 3.85. We were test optional, so if they did submit their SAT or ACT scores, they had an average of a 1203 for the SATs and an ACT of 27. So those are just numbers to give you where you want to be in the neighborhood to be considered a competitive applicant. With that being said, this year we almost hit 13,000 applications for only a small, we're a small school, so we can't accept everybody because we want our freshman class to be about 550 to 600, right? So think about 13,000, and we have to make the decision to get down to almost 600. So it is competitive. So be putting your best foot forward. And how do you do that? Your essay. Make sure there are no typos. It is an essay. It's not a poem. It's not a sentence. An essay has an introduction. It has a body. It has a conclusion. And it also tells us who you are. I want to feel that when I'm reading your application, say, if I was reading Nana's application, I say, oh, I know exactly who Nana is. I can see what she's going to bring to campus if I admit her and if she comes. Though that's the feeling you want to leave out. So does your essay do that? A tip for that is have somebody who knows you read it and say, what does this say about me as an applicant, as a student? That's the feeling you want to give your admissions counselors, not just at Spelman, generally speaking too. Like you want your admissions counselors to get to know you as an individual so that we can put a name to the face and we can say, okay, this is how they'll come. This is what the change they'll bring to campus. So really, if I have any younger students in the audience that are not yet juniors or seniors, get involved with your community, volunteer, intern, all of that are really great things to put on your application. Submit your resume as well. There is a chance for you to submitting a resume. So making sure your resume has a interesting, and especially as international students, we have a lot of opportunities. So take advantage of those, however it is, by doing those tutoring, mentoring, all of that is really important application process for you to mention and for you to be able to be considered a competitive applicant.
I'm happy you've really taken your time to explain what it takes to come to Spelman. It simplifies everything for us. Because of time, I'll take a pause to talk about Education USA, and then I'll come back to you for your final words, and especially final words to students who are watching, parents who are watching, counselors who are getting information for their students. So please think through your final words for us, but I'll use this opportunity to talk about Education USA to our audience. To everybody watching us, I'm sure you followed us for some time now, but just to reiterate what we do as Education USA. Education USA is a US government program, and it's a network in almost every country in the world. Ghana has 2 Education USA centers. There's Education USA Accra, which is based at the US Embassy. And there's Education USA in Kumasi, which is based at ACE Consult at Asokwa. What we do as Education USA is to guide you through all the steps you need to be able to study in the US. First one is to look for schools in the US. The second step is to guide you through looking for financing opportunities in the US. The third step is to guide you through the application process itself, how to apply to schools in the US. And then we take you through visa orientation and guide you through the visa application process, so that after you've gone through all the whole application, you know that you stand a very good chance of getting your visa. And then ultimately, if you are ready to go to school in the US, we take you through a pre-departure orientation, which lets you know everything you could possibly face in terms of challenges, in terms of opportunities, so that you can successfully get to the US and do very well. So with that said, we are happy to have everybody visit us. Accra is still working virtually, but they still have good programs for all students. And I know for now, you can go to the security gate and then get all the help you need. At first, they were not even meeting anybody. So virtually you can connect with them. And then you could also go to the US Embassy, get to where the security people are and get all the help you need. They'll be able to get back to you. For Kumasi, you can actually walk into our office. We are based at Top Martins Complex at Asokwa, and we are open Monday to Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. So we're looking forward to interacting with all those who've joined us this evening, so that if you are applying to Spelman, hey, we'll be your biggest help to get you to any school you want. And if it's preferably Spelman, at least we know how to get help you to get in touch with Mikhail. And I think that should work for everybody. With that said, I'm coming back to you, Nana and Mikhail. What are your final words for our audience?
You want to go first, Nana?
Absolutely, and hopefully this is not inching into your territory. I think Mikhail gave a very good speech on how to present yourself in the best light, etc. Something that I don't think I had a full appreciation of when I was applying to colleges is how you pick who writes your letter of recommendation, right? So you want just because someone is a principal, it's all well and good, but that may also mean that he or she is very busy and doesn't know you as well as maybe your one math teacher who you actually did a project with. You want whoever can represent you in the best possible light because they know you and not necessarily like a canned response, right? So not Nana is great, but Nana is great because we worked on this project and these are the 3 things she did that really impressed me. That's it from my side.
Thank you, Nana. Mikhail.
Yes, I will echo everything Nana just said. You want to make sure your recommenders know you and can really testify to everything that you say on your resume, that they know and they've seen and witnessed. That is really important. And then generally also just remember that your admissions decision is not a reflection of you as an individual. There's a lot that goes into it. So be kind to yourself, be patient with yourself, stay organized, stay prepared, let your village help, whatever your village is with Education USA. Really, really just be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself, and then reach out to your admissions counselors. It's literally my job. I get paid to help you through this. So please reach out to me, reach out to your admissions counselors at the different institutions. My email is on our website as well. If you ever lose it, you can always find it on spelman.edu. So that's what I have to share with you all. Good luck in all of this process and reach out if you need any help whatsoever.
Thank you, Nana, and thank you, Mikhail. It's been a wonderful session. For all of you watching, you can find our contact in today's session. Just follow the chat and you can be able to reach out to Education USA Kumasi, Education USA Accra. Thank you so much and see you next 2 weeks.